Hi, I'm Rochelle Travers, and this is the Standard's Tech and Science Daily podcast. Coming up, Bumble apologises over its controversial anti-celibacy billboards. Now, let's get into it.
At Google, we are fully in our Gemini era.
Google is stepping up its artificial intelligence game and has showcased a wide range of new AI-powered products during its annual developer conference. And even the world's most popular search engine is getting an AI makeover.
Talks about a thing called Project Astra, which is a bit like an AI assistant in your pocket where you can ask it questions, hold a conversation, take photos and ask it to analyse the photos and so on.
That's Simon Hunt, the Standard's business and technology correspondent, who's been running through the key announcements from the tech giant.
Among the other things they talked about was how a lot of the Google services that people use day to day, like Gmail, G Drive and so on, are going to be enhanced by all of the new AI features that are being built into it. For example, with Google Photos, you can now ask questions of your Google Photo library. You can ask it, where was I when I took that photo? Can you show me that time when I did X?
Google also said it was starting to rebuild its search engine around generative AI, powered by the firm's Gemini AI model.
It can produce AI summaries now when you feed it queries, instead of just retrieving you a list of links. And that was tested in the UK and is now being rolled out to the US, and Google say that by the end of this year, over 1 billion people will have access to that tool in Google search.
The impressive array of AI announcements comes just one day after OpenAI revealed GPT-4o, signalling the fierce level of competition currently in the generative AI space. Researchers found that blood proteins could warn of cancer 7 years before diagnosis, and it could potentially help pave the way for future prevention of the disease.
For the first time, we've been able to look at thousands of proteins in the blood. These are small molecules that drive pretty much every process in your body. And we found that hundreds of proteins are linked to your risk of getting cancer.
That's Ruth Travis, Professor of Epidemiology at Oxford Population Health at the University of Oxford, and senior author of the 2 Cancer Research UK funded studies behind these findings.
What's really interesting about this is that we get kind of 2 sets of results. The first really exciting set of results are that we've got proteins that are linked to your risk of being diagnosed with cancer quite soon after we take the blood. These are interesting because they might be helpful for diagnosing cancer earlier. So the second set of really interesting results we think are giving us clues as to what's happening at the very earliest stages of cancer development.
In the first study, scientists analysed blood samples from UK Biobank, taken from more than 44,000 people, including 4,900 who subsequently had a cancer diagnosis. The scientists identified 182 proteins that differed in the blood 3 years before a cancer diagnosis. Then in the second study, the researchers looked at genetic data from more than 300,000 cancer cases to analyse which blood proteins were involved in cancer development and could potentially be targeted by new treatments. Some 40 proteins in the blood were found to influence someone's risk of getting 9 different types of cancer.
What's really nice about the 2 new studies that come out today is that they're using different types of methods to ask the same question. And then what's very exciting is when you can use different methods, but you come up with the same answer. That gives you even more confidence in what you're seeing.
The team stresses that further research is needed to find out the exact role the proteins play in cancer development, which are the most reliable ones to test for, and which drugs could target the proteins.
So the next steps is to look to see if we can find these same signals in other studies. And then the next steps are to say, well, so why are these proteins affecting cancer risk? And so we're designing a whole set of studies with lots of different types of scientists to understand better why are these proteins, these small molecules that are in your blood, affecting your risk of getting cancer.
Now, Bumble has apologised over their controversial billboards referencing celibacy, saying, "We made a mistake." The dating app company issued a statement after their latest ad campaign received widespread backlash from users online. One billboard read, "You know full well a vow of celibacy is not the answer." Within a day, the firm posted an apology on TikTok, saying that it wasn't their intention to offend, and the ads were simply an attempt to lean into a community frustrated by modern dating. And instead of bringing joy and humour, we unintentionally did the opposite. Bumble noted that they planned on taking down the billboards and were going back to the drawing board to create a new campaign more representative of their brand's message. Let's go to the ads. Coming up, the world's first commercial space plane and why you'll need a special QR code in Paris this summer. Welcome back. After more than 10 years in development, the world's first commercial space plane is finally ready. The $1.4 billion Dream Chaser Tenacity spacecraft will take its maiden trip to the International Space Station in low Earth orbit later this year. Dream Chaser's first trip will be unmanned, but if all goes well, then it's eventually expected to fly astronauts there too. Scientists have discovered a new species of giant jellyfish, with tentacles more than 2 inches in length, lurking in Florida waters. Peter Schucker and Richard Collins identified the sea creature after performing 91 nighttime scuba dives over the span of several years near Palm Beach off the Gulf Stream. They were able to collect a series of close-up photos of the jellyfish and selected specimens for DNA extraction over the course of their dives. Through 16S barcode sequencing, they were discovered to be a new species of jellyfish named Zancleopsis grandis. The study is published in Bio 1. And finally, heading to the Olympics in Paris this year? Well, listen up. Parts of the French capital will be off limits without a QR code this summer. Special measures will be in place throughout the city as part of increased security around the Olympic Games, which start in July. Anyone wanting to access certain zones will have to apply for a special pass jeu on a platform run by police. The codes will be checked at access points along the entrance to each zone, and applications for the passes have now officially opened. You're up to date. Come back at 4 p.m. for the Standard podcast for all the latest news and analysis. Tech and Science Daily will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. See you then.